that will be done on infrastructure need to have that additional expense to retrofit, to enhance, to be able to reconstruct when needed, all of that infrastructure to make it more resilient. And at the end, there is now the work begins. From the strategic work plan, this is a foundational document, and the trick is now going to be putting together the annual work plans that help CDRI take those first steps towards that long-term ambition on 2050, but with the practical reality that there's an urgency on a year-to-year basis to transform the ways that the coalition members and beyond are able to really retrofit, upgrade, and build the infrastructure of the future that needs to be resilient to protect communities. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
Thank you, Dr. Ede. So, ministers, the ambition of the coalition, the Prime Minister launched it 4 years ago. It's been 3 years in existence. We've had a strategic work plan. We've needed to update our strategic work plan. And we've been very clear in this iteration that it is about building the coalition. The influence can only come if the coalition is strong. And with that, I would like to invite maybe our newest member thinking about it. Samoa is not yet a member. So I am definitely trying to convince the Minister of Transport to join us. But you've heard the ambition laid out by the coalition, sir. What would you like to say about that? So over to you, a few words from your side.
All right, Honorable Ministers and Excellencies, Director General of the Coalition of Disaster Resilience Infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, namaste, talo falava. Well, I thank CDRI for the efforts to develop the strategic work plan, which clearly outlines the coalition targets for 2023, 2026. Moreover, I thank CDRI for the opportunity given to me on behalf of the government of Samoa to contribute towards CDRI's strategic work plan. Samoa being the host country for the SITS conference in 2014, where the Samoa pathway was launched. It brings me joy to see that geo-contextual initiatives under CDRI, namely the infrastructure for resilient island states, are putting into action what was agreed upon at SITS conference in Samoa. Subsequently, Samoa is highly supportive of the strategic outcome. Number one, to expand CDRI membership through establishment of regional hubs in the Pacific region that is connected through IRAs. Learning from opportunities offered by our development partners to our government, apprenticeships or liaison officers roles could be offered to CDRI member countries within the Secretariat. This will promote CDRI's inclusiveness and diversity. This way, CDRI could easily connect to its member countries through its representative working in the Secretariat. This approach would further add value to CDRI's relations already established with embassies or ambassadors of member countries. In line with the strategic outcome 1, the CDRI is encouraged to engage with organizations already set up in the Pacific region, such as the Pacific Power Association, Pacific Water and Wastewater Association, and Pacific regional infrastructure facilities. Rather than CDRI reinventing the wheel, CDRI can leverage from these organizations' works on climate and disaster resilient infrastructure. It was encouraging to witness the launch of the Infrastructure Resilience Academic Exchange yesterday. In February 2023, the University of the South Pacific was the first university to offer Bachelor of Engineering program in Samoa. That is internationally accredited. Samoa's National University of Samoa is also in the process of designing an engineering program. The IREX is a perfect opportunity for tertiary institutions in Samoa that offer technical courses to collaborate with other academic institutions on the IREX to pool their resources so that our students in Samoa don't have to travel overseas for higher education and will therefore be affordable for our Samoan people. In doing this, the capacity of our local Samoan people will be enhanced, which contributes to Samoa's promotion of use of nature-based solutions in building and maintaining climate and disaster resilience infrastructure. Lastly, Samoa recommends that the strategic work plan is periodically reviewed to ensure that the targets and timeframes are relevant and where the strategic direction requires changing due to challenges that arise. I wish CDRI and all relevant stakeholders all the best in finalizing the strategic work plan and, more importantly, putting into actions the targets set in the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I think it's the right call. We can put all the targets, but unless we actually do the work, they're just empty targets, right? Thank you for highlighting that. And Minister, yesterday we had launched an academic network partnership. Today, and you're a lawyer, so you'll appreciate what we're about to launch. We are about to launch a lexicon on resilient infrastructure. What are the 50+ definitions on this topic that we need to know globally? So with your help, both of your helps, I'd like to launch that. Can we bring it here? This is definitions hot off the press. So with that, Mr. Yadav, I'm going to ask for your words.
Excellency, Director General of CDRI, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to begin today by quoting a figure which is unpleasant but extremely important to mention in order to understand the significance of this event. According to a report by reinsurance company Munich Re, a record number of cyclones, wildfires, and flood prompted by climate change cost the world US $210 billion in damages in 2020. This money could have transformed millions of lives. Unfortunately, climate change is causing more frequent and intense disasters such as storms, heat waves, and wildfires. The economic losses are growing as with rising population, more people are building in disaster-prone areas. According to the World Meteorological Organization, the number of disasters has increased by a factor of 5 over the last 50-year period, driven by climate change and more extreme weather. The IPCC AR6 synthesis report released in March brings into sharp focus the losses and damages we are already experiencing and will continue to face in the future, hitting the most vulnerable people and ecosystems especially hard. The report says almost half of the world's population lives in regions that are highly vulnerable to climate change. The solution lies in climate resilient development. And if these facts and figure have made the mood too grim, here is ray of hope. Thanks to improved early warning and disaster management, the number of deaths have decreased almost threefold over the 50-year period. Infrastructure is the foundation for development, is a key to promoting human dignity and improved well-being. A resilient and inclusive infrastructure system is crucial for the implementation of sustainable development goals and the target of the Sendai framework of disaster risk reduction. It plays a key role in all three dimensions of sustainable development: economic prosperity, social inclusiveness, and environment sustainability. Policies are made for people, and therefore people must be at the heart of any infrastructure growth story. In India, we are doing exactly that. As India is scaling up the provision of fundamental services in the areas of education, health, drinking water, sanitation, electricity, transport, and much more, the country is also fighting climate change in a very direct way. To make our future resilient, we have to work toward a resilient infrastructure transition. If we make infrastructure resilient, we prevent disasters not only for ourselves, but also for the many generations to come after us. While the problem appears big, the solutions are simple. In India, we have started implementing them. India is preparing against heat waves by planning urban forests and creating green spaces that provide shade and cooling. The urban planning models are factoring in heat reduction by promoting green rooftops and going in for reflective surfaces or paints. To fight coastal flooding and sea level rise, India is looking at constructing buildings well above the ground level. There are examples of houses in the southern state of Kerala built on pillars of treated bamboo and other such material that leaves the surface level for flood water to flow without destroying houses. To offset the damages caused by cyclone and strong winds, we are looking at constructing round-shaped houses. Roof design is particularly important. Buildings with connected foundation and roofs can withstand strong winds. India is laying unprecedented focus on rainwater harvesting to store water during heavy rains. In 2022, India launched an ambitious project of constructing Amrit Sarovars, which are basically ponds recharged through rainwater. The mission is aimed in developing and rejuvenating 75 water bodies in each district of the country, and part of celebration of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 glorious years of our independence. India has been working on strengthening end-to-end early warning systems for all hydrometeorological hazards, and I'm both happy and proud to share with you that the death due to the cyclone in the country have reduced by up to 90% in the last 15 years. Early warning system for cyclone now cover almost entire east and west coast. India would now like to maximize the full potential of early warning systems for not just reducing the loss of lives, but also livelihoods and national development gains. I will also take the opportunity to share with this gathering a rather interesting example of how in India early forecasting is becoming a participative process. We have in India weather bloggers who study different weather models and follow IMD closely to interpret the weather changes and accordingly inform the public on social media. In Tamil Nadu, for instance, Pradeep John, who work in the finance sector, actively runs a page, Tamil Nadu Weatherman, on Facebook and Twitter with millions of followers sharing IMD inputs on weather changes. IMD too make use of social media to ensure weather information is relayed to people in time. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in an integrated world, and thus what happens is one part of the planet Earth sooner or later impact the other part. Mr. Kofi Annan, the 7th Secretary General of United Nations, couldn't have been more right in saying, I quote, extremely poverty anywhere is a threat to human security everywhere. And so, when climate change induced disaster impact one nation, they indirectly have an impact on all nations everywhere. India, under Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, has therefore not only supported but also worked on the principle of leaving no one behind. The Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure is an example of India's spirit to work with the world. The participation to your countries in the coalition is a statement of the world's commitment to find constructive solutions. The CDRI was first proposed by the Honorable Prime Minister during 2016 Asian Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction held in New Delhi. Developed through consultation with more than 35 countries, CDRI was launched by Prime Minister during the UN Climate Action Summit in 2019 in New York. CDRI envisioned enabling measurable reduction in infrastructure losses from disasters, including extreme climate events. For countries that are in early stage of infrastructure development, CDRI provides access to good practices to develop appropriate standards as well as regulatory mechanisms to manage infrastructure development in a manner that fosters resilience. For countries at an advanced stage of infrastructure development, CDRI provides an opportunity to engage with the development of robust infrastructure systems that are interconnected globally. India also took the lead in creating infrastructure of resilient island states, IRIS. The initiative has been designed entirely as an instrument to achieve and deliver resilience and climate adaptation solution to the most vulnerable and exposed countries, which we now are the small island developing states. In the years to come, IRIS will proactively address regional, geographical, multi-country infrastructure resilience needs and challenges to bring for risk-informed infrastructure investments. Ladies and gentlemen, if you were ask me what is the most significant takeaway from COP27 held in Egypt in 2022, I would say it was the agreement reached on the loss and damages fund agreement. There is no denying that those who have contributed the least to the climate crisis are facing its worst today. The Loss and Damages Fund is a response to climate injustice and a step toward climate justice. I will use this platform to make a concerted appeal to the developed countries to fulfill their obligation and agreed upon duty in creation and sustenance of this fund. The fund will ensure developing and underdeveloped countries have to face climate disasters and develop resilience toward it. Technology transfer cannot wait any longer because the world has in principle agreed that the time for climate action is now. It is time to uphold the agreement. While we agree that we need to create resilient infrastructure, we also need to work simultaneously to address the problem of climate change historically. As the Honorable PM, Shri Narendra Modi ji said at the launch of CDRI, and I quote, "What is needed today is a comprehensive approach that covers everything including education, value to lifestyle, and development philosophies. What we need is a global people's movement to bring about behavioral change, need, not greed in our guiding principle." I unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude by saying you that CDRI make me hopeful a better future, one where we will together be able to mitigate climate disasters and the human cost they incur. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Minister, for those welcome words. And I just want to mention, we've got about 20 countries represented in the room, and there are around 158 countries. People, about 2,200 people signed up to participate. So the global reach of CDRI is improving. And on IRIS that we launched at COP27, we received applications from 28 countries. So it's quite impressive. So with that, I know you've got a time commitment. He's running to Parliament, so I will not hold him. I really appreciate your joining us today and helping us launch the lexicon and giving your final words. So.
Thank you very much and wish you all the best for success of your conferences.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We do have a token gift for you, both of you. So I'm going to ask Ms. Veena Reddy, where are you? Please, let's give, we actually have planted a tree in the names of the speakers. So Veena is our co-chair from head of USAID and co-chair of the executive committee.
Cooperate on many environment agreements.
She has the USA.
Yes.